Another day, another episode of Africa's premier sports video podcast, the Three Quarters Podcast. Today, we are talking about the 2021 World Rally Championship, the WRC. For those of you who don't know, the Safari Rally, which happens every year, for nearly 40 years was part of the WRC. So for the first time in 19 years, FIA, which is the governing body for motorsports in the world, agreed to bring back the Safari Rally onto the WRC, and that's what we're talking about today. Allow me to introduce my guests who are part of my small escapade. I won't use your government names, guys, so it'll be easy. So we have Jack there, Carissa and Horse. Guys, welcome to the Three Quarters Podcast. So let's get into it, man. I mean, the last time the WRC was in Kenya was in 2002. For Horse and I, we might have gone, but we really didn't conceptualize exactly what the WRC or the Safari Rally meant to the WRC and vice versa. For Horse and I, again, we can say that we fed off a lot of what the stories that you used to give us. Whether you were Kankanen, Richard Burns. We don't even talk about Jack. Jack wasn't. He was non-existent. Richard Burns and the Yuha Kankanens and the Sheikha Metas. And even our folks here talking to them about Joginder Singh and all those guys. So, Carissa, I wanted to touch on the last time it was in Kenya. You were in your mid-20s. Oh shit, I've sold your age.
Sorry, let's move on. Nothing.
But you're in your mid-20s and you had a chance to go and see what had become an event that had to happen every year in the Kenyan calendar. So what did you think? Or what were your thoughts about this Safari Rally?
Well, going back to the last time they were here, it's good to mention a bit about the last 10 years before they left. And a lot of issues about costs in rallying and finance and running of teams have become an issue. To a point where in the mid-90s, there's a point where the teams didn't commit to coming. Then they recommitted. Makinen took the rally and the championship.
Yeah.
Was it 3-4 times in a row in the mid-90s?
Tommy
Makinen. Then the re-emergence of Mitsubishi and Subaru and the recommitment to the rally. So by the height of the rally, when they left us in 2002, you had all kinds of teams. You had Skodas, you had Subarus, you had the Fords, you had the Mitsubishis, and stellar names. Carlos Sainz was here. Colin McRae, the winner that year, Tommy Makinen, Richard Burns, who was another great, late great. Kankunen was still around.
Sebastian Loeb.
And looking back at the videos, Citroen was making their first return to Kenya in a long time.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal. But it's a big deal in as far as there was such a long-running tradition. So many people who went as children, who then took their children to the level where there were grandchildren being taken by their grand folks for the rally. So it was a big cultural event. An event that is part of the national psyche, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we lost that for a while, but we're grateful it's back.
So, Horse, I'll get to you. Jack, I'm not using any metrics, I'm sorry. But Horse, we'll go back to you. Now, we start watching the rally or understanding what the rally is when WRC has left. So it's just now the Kenya National Rally Championship. And we do put in the time. Mogotio, Eldama Ravine, Kajiado, Athi River. We've done all that. We've taken time to pack our grills and our food and all that stuff to go into the world. So when you hear what he's talking about in 2002, and you think about what we went through with the Kenya National Rally Championship, and then just touching on what you saw this year, I mean, what do you have to say about that?
I think, first of all, it's been a long time coming for folks like us who only remember seeing cars, but we weren't really understanding what's happening. And I remember that's 20 years ago. The biggest thing was Easter, and rally. Like they used to go concurrently. So just seeing how guys showed up, how we've always been doing the national rally as opposed, including this WRC.
Yeah.
I think the fan base has grown, and with the WRC, it's even bigger. I think guys turned up a lot. There's been a lot. Guys have been waiting for this for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think from the national side to the World Rally Championship, I think you can just see the crowds getting bigger and bigger all the time.
And the standards getting better. I mean, no shade to our local drivers, but the foreign guys on another level. Now, for you, Jack, you're coming from a scenario where you really, because truth is, when you are getting into the social life, for lack of a better word, or rather, when you're growing up, first you have Safari Rally having left the WRC. When you're getting into the social life, rally is not part even of the calendar really, because that's where us guys benefited off. It was still, I mean, KCB was sponsoring this quite a bit of money that was going into it, and there's a social aspect into it. So you're coming from that, and so you really don't know exactly what's happening, and then you say, boom, WRC is back. I mean, what was going through your mind and just...
So for starters, my dad was a very big car guy.
Okay.
However, I didn't get an opportunity to attend any of the rallies, so it was just like, when you see the ad on TV, because KCB used to do their sponsorships.
Yeah.
So you see a national rally championship, and you're like, that looks interesting. And you're like, but I don't know the maps, I don't know where the points these guys are going or anything. So you're like, there's nothing much I can do. Then the one time I can actually, like find some loose change, to chuck Nairobi, go to Naivasha, attend a whole WRC season, because Naivasha was a season. So you attend the whole thing. It's really interesting, because I didn't think this much I would, I'd get to see. And I'm also a big car guy, especially hatchbacks. And, WRC is all hatchbacks. Small engines, powerful engines. And you're like, these guys are going at really high speeds. There's so many people. These people are interesting. And then now I got to go with, real rally fans, so you get the whole story. Karis here tells us, ilikuwa hivi na hivi na hivi, and you're like, you know what? This is actually interesting. This is something I would do, over and over and over again. Inshallah.
I mean, Karis, having had what we have to say, and you having the benefit of seeing it those days, do you have anything else to add?
I just wanted to mention there's one thing that's lost in the 19 years. It become clearer over time. The fact that we had such an attachment to rallying was also born of the fact that our rally drivers were competitive. Joginder Singh, multi rally winner. Shekhar Mehta still holds the record. I mean, under WRC, if you throw in the KNRC, that's another thing altogether. But under WRC status, he still holds the record. So part of the rallying, apart from the timing, the Easter, the whole family thing passed down, the cultural aspect, is the fact that our drivers were competitive. Our drivers were given a chance to drive WRC cars. So we're not only going out there in Nissan March and Vitz turbos trying to take on WRC R1 cars or future R1 cars. It's actually people going head to head. National, local drivers going head to head with the best of global drivers in cars which are matched. So Shekhar Mehta is out there, the 240 RS, Nissan, in Duncan with a Celica, I think it was an ST 185 that he won in. Vic Preston drove a Lancia Delta, HF Integrale, and he was actually, at some point, even with the 037, he was actually the leading driver, driving a works team. So it's actually born of the fact that we were competitive. So drew people in because we actually have a chance of taking
the locals have a chance of winning it.
And that's what I'm saying. Maybe under the current dispensation, we may watch it for different reasons.
I agree with you. I mean, the 19 years from what you're saying to what you're seeing now, and what we saw this year is that the first Kenyan came number 8, or was it 9? Yeah, Onkarai, 7, yeah. Okay, granted, and give it to him. There are very many international drivers who dropped off. So you have to give it to him that Onka was able to, to see it through. But anyway, so we're not really talking about the technical stuff here. We're going to talk about the experience that the rally brings. And I'll speak of what us guys did. We left here on Thursday. But on Thursday when we were heading, we left about the time when the cars were finishing at Kasarani. So we get to Kinangop, the overpass, and bam, there's traffic. So we decide to sneak on the overpass. Clearly, that's the route they're using from Kasa, from wherever they're coming. Man, we're in that traffic for like an hour and a half. There the bouts. But the bars, even around that area, was just so jazzing in terms of seeing the guys that were there. Again, this chef of ours decided to buy sugarcane, such traffic affairs, such small things. Yeah. And Jackie had something to say about.
Oh yeah. You noticed how also guys we went with a Subaru, Subaru Light. You see how guys there were this construction on Wayaki heading that way. So every guy who saw us in the car, they were like, "Oh, nenda Naivasha, sindio? Wewe ni wa Naivasha. Subaru baba." Sijui nini, iko wapi half coat ama sijui. Yeah, like it was funny. It was really funny.
Let me just say, towards the Thursday point, I have a different story on Friday. Friday, the cops did an excellent job clearing the roads. Mm-hmm. Basically, I have been on my Mahio road before, but that was crazy. Yeah. We drove down literally in minutes from the tunnel from the main Limuru highway off to my Mahio road. Yeah. I've never seen it like that. Basically, they cleared all the traffic.
Even coming back at the particular time.
Yeah, so the lower road, my Mahio section was excellent. On their part, they did a good job to facilitate people getting there. And we had our cars filled. We had our grills. We had our mekos. We had our nyaks. We had our booze, of course. We had our ice cubes and our cool boxes and all that stuff. And you leave. I actually went to shop for the briquettes, and Kwanza Bika doing a good job with those lighters. Kitambo it used to be that these lighters are quick, but now you wash it and your nyaks is ready. But anyway, we left on Thursday, and on Friday morning at 5 we were out of our hotel room. 5:30, first stage was in Kedong. We go in and we set base, and just tell me about the experience. Karisu will get to you because we were with you on Saturday, but just tell me about the experience that you guys had on Friday.
I think let's take it back.
Okay, you are the cool.
Even before Friday.
Yes.
We did a trip to Naivasha.
Yeah, true. A week before that.
Yeah. Just to look for accommodation. Mm-hmm. And we drove down South Lake Road. 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Or 1 hour.
1 hour.
Just going into hotels and looking if they have accommodation. Those places were packed, fully booked for like 10 days. So just to add into what we had already prepared, at least we found a place to sleep through.
Yeah.
Friday, Kedong. I think the rally experience starts with going to the route.
Yes.
Waking up in the morning, finding a place in the spectator stage. Because when we got there, remember we had found somewhere, then we were like, we wouldn't see cars over here. So Jack and Kwame and I went to look for a place somewhere where there's at least a bit of elevation. I think that's the beauty of having a spectator stage that's open like that.
And in the route.
Yeah. So you have everything there. You have your food there. You have the cars there. You have your crew there. Yeah. So for me, Friday, Kedong was my best actually in terms of in terms of where we had set up.
Yes.
Even in terms of the crowd, I think it was just so energetic. Yeah. The planning, of course, I was the one doing the grill and everything.
You call me what? Stanley Outdoor Catering.
It's interesting because you get there and you've already started thinking about, okay, guys need to eat. How do we start now? So, handling the grill and everything, then we realized that we had forgotten cooking on the And Jack was the guy who was saying,
Jack was like the errand boy.
Yeah.
You remember that movie called Kitchen Toto? I'm
You have to pay the price for being the youngest.
that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very interesting. Jack, you can tell us.
Jack, I mean, what was it for you?
Yeah, so I was a little buzzed, like excited for the whole thing.
Yeah.
So on Friday, nilikuwa full of energy, we're waking up, and also Friday was a work day for me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You are working.
It was mad. It was mad. So waking up in the morning, 5:30, and then it was not so far from where we were crashing. That was the best thing actually. So it was not so far. Doing the trip in the morning and then setting up the cold.
Yes.
Because someone mentioned seeing the moon and the sunrise at the same time, then you know you're actually in a ranch. So I'm like, hey, but then Jebe, ulipiga hesabu. It was mad.
But then also what happens is that, and that happens with all rallies, because you leave in the morning, it's so cold, your old scarves and all that stuff, and then a few hours in, now the sun is there, bang. I'm sure, actually now I'm okay, but I came back, I'm sure we all came back with sunburns.
Because I remember Kwame headshots.
Yes.
In the morning, I'm like, are you okay? Like, is everything uko sawa? Then a couple hours in, the heat, I'm like, and
the dust, yeah. So that was Kidong. Then Karis, you come into Naivasha on Friday. Actually, no, you were there. I remember you telling me Takamoto.
Yeah,
I
was outside
the service station.
the service.
Yeah.
And I'm not going into the stages. It's too late to start getting around. So you just park by the roadside. The car's going to pass there. It's not a competitive stage, but you see a car.
Yeah.
You haven't seen them in a long time. Wow. You even double the experience. So Katsuta is leaving for his last stage of the day. I think the one around Osirian.
Yes.
And for some reason, like if you watch the WRC footage from Estonia, there's a lot of actually rally drivers parked outside the stages just changing tires and it's open. They're mixing with the fans, and fans know how to keep a safe distance.
Yeah.
So Katsuta just stops. I don't know what pulled him to us. He just stops by the road, basically in front of us, and we're just by and there was no one. There were us and maybe two other cars just by the road outside the service park.
Yeah.
Katsuta stops. There's co-driver. They start watering themselves, and I don't mean watering.
Not what you are doing.
So they were overheated. Water. So they actually stopped outside. I grabbed my phone cam and start filming. Also, I thought, and I spent 2 minutes on the phone going around. I'm not even saying hi to the guy. From old rally rules, just don't interfere with the guy. Give the guy space. He's in the zone. He's trying to get into the zone for the next stage.
Yeah.
I film. I wish him all the best. As these other guys join us and start, hey, wait, chapa a selfie, hey, Kasuta. So anyway, we get lost in the moment. As I turn to my wife, I tell her, hey, man, I got some good footage. As I look at the camera, I haven't pressed record. And then at that point, I'm thinking, those things about social media age, if I don't film it, will they believe it? And I thought to myself, I'm like, I was here. I actually was with a guy for 2 minutes filming around the car, literally in and out.
Yeah.
But I don't have footage. Beauty of the rally.
So then, Saturday, headache as hell. We have to leave a hotel at 5. So do you guys leave at 5? And it's all just troops of cars heading to Soisambu. Getting into Soisambu, jam-packed. But we finally get in. And we set camp again. As guys have our chef. He was on duty. But then there's something that Jack mentioned off air that has really come to me, and it's a camaraderie that you have within the rally. You have talked of cooking oil, the way you went to ask for it. You guys come. I can't remember what we gave you, but I know we didn't have milk. We forgot to buy milk. We were focused on other things. And you give us milk and we cook, and then now we head now to watch Soisambu. So, Horse, for you, what was Soisambu about? Despite being used as a slave.
Soisambu is about, for me it was the experience and relationship, especially Kendog, it was just, we went, our car.
Yes.
4 or 5 people.
Yes.
So some would then now we met Kinakaris there.
Yeah.
So it was more of enjoying the rally, but it was more of a social scene.
Yes.
And even interacting with guys like Karis and guys who watch this thing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And them breaking it down to you, this is what used to happen, this is what used to happen.
Yes.
For me, that was.
I agree with the social part, because, I mean, just to viewers, just to explain. So cars will normally pass into 2 sections. So you'll have maybe section 4 and section 8, hypothetically. So in between the last car of section 2 and the first car of section 4, you have like 3 hours, 3-4 hours. So all that happens there is what we were doing. We had our chef. I'm going to repeat that throughout the whole show. He's hooking us up with some good dish. We have our drinks. We're just catching up. We had Kwame, who was the DJ, and just playing music, and just catching up and just joking about. So I mean, Jack, what did you have to?
For Saturday.
Yeah, for Saturday.
For Saturday, the morning trip as well. We do not. Anyone who's being advised to attend WRC should not forget about the 5:30 waking up.
Yes.
Because you have to be or even earlier, because some guys used to do at 2.
Yes.
Yeah. So you need to be at the station at 2 hours before.
2 hours before.
So and you guys are jam-packed into one car entrance.
Yes.
It was mad. But I remember the kuku. Shukran sana chef.
That's your highlight.
Yeah, that was one of the highlights. And then there was Karis, Ndongo, and some other twin sisters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember their name.
Yeah.
But the stories they had.
Yeah.
Every time we were catching frost, and then Karis is there like, you know what, this is to happen, we used to go nini, and you're like, this thing had such history. You look like how they say Kenya is the only place they call it the safari rally. There's no other place in Africa they do that. So there's that safari rally aspect, and then there's the stories behind it. Now you get to hear it first-hand information from guys who actually experienced it. It was insane.
Karis, there's something you mentioned actually on that Saturday. You said that this was like a cross-generation thing. You had guys from all over generations, all over the place, different social classes and all that. And by the way, it's not something that is limited, and maybe you'll comment on that. It's not something that is limited just to where we were chilling, but it's something that's always with the rally, that you have interactions across the board with guys from all over. And I think you're mentioning off-air, that is perhaps one of the problems that the WRC has now, in that it's in closed sections. So you're unable to have that interaction with them. One inch, you're just what the rally is. I don't know what you think about it.
It's about openness.
Yeah.
It's about accessibility. You look back at, but I was looking at old footage of 1983 to 6 or so, and doing a leg down to Mombasa on one day, coming back. You give exposure to the rally to all the people down there and all the way back. The next day you do the Rift Valley, go to the lakeside, Kisumu, Western, and on the day after that you come back. So by the 4th, 5th day, you've traversed the country.
Yeah.
So it's got exposure, and it's on open roads.
Yeah.
Right now it's a closed circuit event, so it was open to everyone.
Yeah.
So that's one of the factors that has changed. So certain people obviously will feel disgruntled that it's not coming to our side of the country. This is not how we remember it.
Yeah.
But for 19 years, that means there's a generation who is tabula rasa. Whatever you give them, they'll take.
Yes.
If it means next year saving, I mean, it's a harsh thing to say, but they'll make the sacrifice to see it. But for the old folk, maybe they'll feel like it's changed. It's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
But we also have to evolve. We have to accept that rallying everywhere has changed, and there was no better example than Saturday.
Yes.
I do not have a memory of a spectator zone.
Yes.
We don't have that.
Yes.
This is not a 2002 experience. This is a 1980, 1990 experience. This is a new thing that we have. We are closed into a section where you have all these thousands of fans given probably 2 kilometers or so access to see the car.
Yeah.
And that's different. And I'll take you to the Euros a few weeks back.
Yeah.
You can see the explosion of people wanting to have an event in all these countries.
Yeah.
It was the same for all the bad press that Naivasha gets about this is the same explosion that the rally got. People have been waiting. It's been 16 months now locked in. You can imagine that burst. You want to have an event. And that's what the spectator zone on Saturday was all about. It was an explosion. People wanted to have that shared experience. No clubs, no big weddings, no what. So all this pent up was in the spectator. So that's why we needed to wake up early. People don't see it, then they don't understand the change in the rally. So things have changed, but we accept them.
All right. As we wrap up, mention one one thing that you'd like to get fixed. I think all of us, and quickly as we wrap up, I think all of us have one thing, but I'll let you guys go first. Horse, one thing you need to fix.
The infrastructure in terms of logistics for the fans, especially.
Jack?
I want to say the same, the logistics, because if logistics were better, I think we would have gotten, to and from Soisambu, and we'd be okay to, catch a frost badai. But the logistics, madness. Yeah.
I cannot go any further. First of all, let me just thank KMSF, the government, and all the rally enthusiasts for getting it back. Saturday spectator zone needs to be thought out a bit more clearly. Makes it less of a nuisance on the day.
What I'm going to say is that what we have seen as rally fans is that if you're going to go for the rally, go for it on Friday and Saturday. The advantage of that is that, number one, you get everyone in action. The big names haven't dropped off. 19 cars dropped off after day one, Friday. So you get everyone in the action. But number two, like you've seen from a logistical perspective and in an infrastructure and traffic, it's easier to deal with it on that Friday. Saturday, they need to do quite a bit of work on the spectator. And even worse, Sunday. Hell's Gate was chaotic. But anyway, we won't get into that. Gents, thank you very much. It was a fantastic one. It was a fantastic, always a pleasure. And to next year, we'll be in choppers.
We can't wait for next.
Thank you very much. Remember to follow us, or rather subscribe to our YouTube channel, and continue watching content on sports. We're all about sports, and we're all about commercializing sports in Africa and Kenya. And the WRC has been the first sign that that is very possible. To the next one, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.